Michigan's always important to me personally, and I think to the country. And I've seen a lot of the efforts. I was just talking to the Blight Busters man back there. I've seen a lot of the community efforts, the coordinated commitment from government and business and civic groups and individuals, homeowners, philanthropy, to really make a big commitment to Detroit.
Hillary Clinton on the campaign trail in Detroit yesterday. You heard her tell a local TV station there how pleased she was with the comeback of the Motor City. Speaking of comebacks, looks like Hillary's going to need to do that on the campaign trail. A new Quinnipiac poll has her losing to 3 Republicans in 3 key swing states. Take a look first out west to Colorado. You see Mrs. Clinton trailing Senator Marco Rubio, former Governor Jeb Bush, and Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker. In Iowa, ditto in that situation. In fact, I guess about the biggest lead there for Scott Walker. And let's look at Virginia. Things a little closer there, but again, the Republicans are in the lead. So what does this mean? Time to bring in our political panel. First, from Newsmax Washington, Republican strategist Ford O'Connell. And from Newsmax New York, a guy you see daily on the Daily Wrap, which he co-hosts here on Newsmax TV. He's also the senior political contributor for Forbes.com. He, of course, is Rick Ungar. So, Rick, you're our designated Democrat. Should Hillary be worried about the polling?
Probably a little bit too early to be worried about it, but I do find it interesting. I'm not particularly shocked at the results in Colorado. I'm not particularly shocked at the results in Iowa. I'm fascinated, as always, with Virginia. I think Virginia has turned into one of the true bellwether states because of the division between the North and the South. That's one I'll be watching as time passes along. It's fascinating because if you look at the math, the Republican nominee, whoever that may be, literally needs to win virtually every single one of these swing states to become president. So this is obviously a better sign for them, but it is early.
And what about that? We know it's early, Ford, but does this show a fault line with Mrs. Clinton, especially in the area of trust?
The chickens are certainly coming home to roost for Mrs. Clinton. She's seen as dishonest and not a strong leader. And frankly, I'm quite surprised because with all the Trump mania, I thought she could literally hit a crate of puppies and the voter wouldn't notice. This is very key. And to Rick's point, he's absolutely right. If the Republican nominee wants to win the presidency in 2016, he has to win Florida, Ohio, Virginia, and Colorado. That'll get you over 270. So Virginia and Colorado are the 2 most important. But hey, if you want to give the Republican nominee Iowa, I'm in, because guess what? I'll be measuring the drapes in the White House.
Mercy. Well, let's move from the presidential polling to a poll on the papacy, believe it or not. A new Gallup poll released today. The favorability of Pope Francis has plummeted in this country. It's now at 59% when it was way up at 76% in February of 2014. The climate change advocacy there, those kind of progressive issues, is that what causing problems for the Pope here in the US of A, Ford?
Absolutely. Socialized economics and his dramatic push for climate change, which comes as a result of the papacy trying to rebrand its relationship with science. It's hard for me, though, to take science advice, even though I respect the Holy Father, given that the church basically called Galileo a heretic when he said the earth revolved around the sun and burned Bruno at the stake when he said the universe was infinite. I understand that the Pope wants to rebrand with science, but guess what? There's disputed evidence here on climate change, and this might not be the best tactic forward.
Rick, your take on what's going on with the Pope and the polls?
Well, I think it says more about us, frankly, than it does about the Pope. Look, that very same poll made it very clear where he's lost approval, if you will, is among American conservatives. I think that's a shame. You may disagree with the Pope on some of these political issues. I get that. But you know what? This is obviously a man with a wonderful heart, has the best of intentions. He's a good guy. And if you find yourself not liking him because you disagree with him on economy or on global warming or whatever, This isn't about the Pope. It's about you. You need to get a heart.
Well, let's make it all about President Obama. Hang on,
I
got one more issue
here with you.
I
and I have the utmost respect for the Holy Father, but we have Christians being beheaded in the Middle East. We have Jews being beheaded in the Middle East, and he can do something more immediate about that than push something that he doesn't have exact science on.
What can he do? I'm curious. I'd like to know what he can do. That'd be great.
Well, guess what? With 1.2 billion followers, he can do a lot to unite interfaith relationships, which is something he's targeted since his election as Pope. And frankly, guess what? He needs to lead on this issue because he's the only one that a lot of different
This may be a first. Gentlemen, I thank you.
Me.
And perhaps Ford can seek a new client at the Vatican. At any rate, Ford O'Connell, Rick Ungar, we thank you for your time and your analysis of those two topics. There is much more ahead here on Newsmax Prime, so you stay right there. We're coming back.